Alright, what's up mga kamismo? Today's vlog, we are here at the Marina Mall at the Attarik Foundation for Meteoritics and Planetary Science. At that time, there was a free exhibit in Marina Mall. As you can see in the video mga kamismo, that was the first time I saw fossils of dinosaurs. And besides, I also experienced holding a meteor for the first time. Yan for free mga kamismo. And of course, thank you and shout out to Miss Selma. She's the one currently speaking in the video. But before we start, let me just enter the intro. Here we go! Alright! What's up mga kamismo? Bali, nandito kami sa museum nila. Bali free. Kaya ito na yung pagkakataon namin. Pumunta kami, ayan. Yan, ayan yung lugar nila. May mga fossil dito. Tapos may mga bato na nanggaling sa iba't ibang planeta. Ito, pakita ko sa inyo yung fossil ng dinosaur. Dinosaur fossil. Oh, nice. Yan o. Ayan yung dinosaur. Fossil ng dinosaur. Ayan siya.
Would you like me to start to visit
Yeah.
and explain everything that we have here?
No problem.
No problem?
Yeah.
You
Ayaw ba?
by yourself? By yourself?
Yeah.
It's okay to...
You can take as many pictures as you like. No problem.
Okay, you can explain so that we will know.
Oh yes, absolutely. We can start the session from here.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. From the beginning.
Oh, meron pa libre tour mga kamismo kaya makinig muna tayo sa kanila. Ayun sir, may i-explain niyo sir from the beginning.
Welcome to the exhibit museum of the Attarik Foundation. This is the first museum of its kind in Morocco, where the specialty is about space, meteorites, and dinosaurs. We're gonna start by talking about meteorites, which are rocks that fell from the sky. We can start with the solar system. We have 4 rocky planets: Mercury, Venus, and Earth. And then we have Mars. And the planets that are made out of gas, we have Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Okay, these are the planets that we have in our solar system. Okay, in order to put a difference between the rocky planets and the planets that are made out of gas, we have an asteroid belt here. It's a belt that is made out of rock and gas. You can see it clearly here. It's the asteroid belt. It's between Mars and Jupiter. What's the first of all, where did they come from? It came from planets that broke, that shattered down. After the Big Bang, there were a bunch of elements that were trying to make tiny planets, right? But it didn't form. It couldn't complete its formation. Thus, they were starting to break apart, to fall apart. So the tiny bits of rock, they started moving around in a circle here, and they protect us from comets. And they leave the actual position of the planets like they actually are. They make the position clear of the planets, because every single planet has a position, and every single planet has a path that they follow, and they move around the same path during the year. So the asteroid belt helps protect that path. Okay? Meteorites, they come from 3 places. They come from the asteroid belt. Over 80% of the meteorites, they come from the asteroid belt because it's made out of rock, so it's very easy to fall from the asteroid belt. 2 big rocks, they hit each other. There's a tiny piece that falls from the asteroid belt. It turns around in space and then it falls directly on Earth. Okay? That's why 80% of the meteorites, they come from the asteroid belt. However, only 15% come from the moon, because the moon is the satellite that orbits around Earth. It's our satellite, natural satellite. And 5% come from Mars. Only 5%. Can you guess why?
Why?
Can anyone try to give me a guess why only 5% come from Mars? It's very small. Answer. It's hard,
What
yes.
is the possible plus? We don't have idea.
You don't have an idea. Okay, I'm gonna explain to you. Basically, Mars is a planet, right? It's a
Yes.
rocky planet. It's made out of rock, which means that the surface is made out of rock, just like Earth. But in order to have a meteorite fall from Mars, we need to have a big rock come out of the asteroid belt, hit Mars, and it should hit it very hard so that there could be a tiny bit of Mars that falls down on Earth. And this chance is very low. It does not happen a lot. Until 2023, we only saw 5 meteorites fall from Mars. Ever since the humanity started reading about space, we only saw 5 meteorites come from Mars, which is very rare. That's why meteorites that come from Mars are very important to us in order to study about the surface of Mars, and they have a very big value, financially and scientifically.
This area has a certain belt also, or this area only?
Only this area. We have 2 belts in our solar system. We have the asteroid belt here between Mars and Jupiter, okay? And the second belt is there, the Kuiper belt. It's after Neptune. It's after the last gas planet, okay? That's where comets come from, okay?
Excuse me, ma'am. Is it true that there is a possibility that someone will go to the Mars?
Yes, they are trying to make that happen, but it's not actually true. No one went to Mars yet,
I
but they're
thought
trying to make it happen.
in this year.
Hopefully. I mean, they sent rockets to Mars. They sent rovers, machines, to get some data and rocks from Mars, and it worked. So far, it worked. It was very successful. But so far, we don't have any person that actually went on the surface of Mars and walked on the surface of Mars. Because
If that's possible,
it is possible.
it's possible.
I think it's possible because we're growing very fast. The scientific research is evolving very quickly. So I think that in 10 years or in 15 years maximum, we would have walked on Mars. I think so. I think it's very important to just, invest in scientific research. So that's something that could probably happen. Okay, let's look at the type of meteorites. We have 2 major families of meteorites, okay? We have the primitive ones, these ones. The primitive ones, they mean that nothing actually happened to the meteorite. There was no big change. As soon as the rock formed, it stayed the same way that it is, okay? We have these meteorites, they have tiny little dots. You can zoom in here or look at this rock. You have tiny little dots. These dots are what we call chondrules. Chondrules. In French, chondrites. In English, chondrules. They are the tiny little dots that form after the Big Bang. So the explosion of the Big Bang happened. Elements were trying to connect with each other because that's how nature works. Every element tries to find its complementary element, okay? And then they formed these tiny little molecules, these tiny little dots here, and that's what we call chondrules. They are the first tiny dots that were ever formed after the Big Bang. So these are when we find them in a meteorite, we are 100% sure that the meteorite is very, very old. It dates back to the Big Bang.
That was a very long time ago.
Yes, very long time ago. The other type, we have the meteorites that come from the moon and Mars, or the moon lunaire, Martienne from Mars. They don't have these tiny little dots. They don't have the chondrules. So we call them achondrites. In French, when we add the A in front of an adjective, it means that that thing is not existent, which means that this one does not have chondrules. You can see it does not have the tiny little dots. They're not visible. So they don't have chondrules like the other one, okay? It means that this one is a lot more recent than the other one, okay? The second type, we have meteorites that are mixed. So they have a cocktail of minerals. They have a bunch of minerals, just like planets that form on Earth. But they don't have the same composition. but they're just very similar in a way that they have a variation of minerals, okay? The last type is the metallic meteorites. The metallic meteorites, they are made out of 100% pure metal, which is very rare because usually metal, we need to extract it from rocks. Metal, we can't find a pure 100% metal unless it comes from the space. So when we find a bit of metal that is 100% pure, we know for a fact that it came from a meteorite, okay? And this meteorite that is made out of 100% metal, it looks exactly like the center of the Earth. The center of the Earth is made out of 100% metal, okay? Just like all
Kasi
of the rocky
inahuhukay nila,
planets.
mababa pa eh.
So when we find a meteorite that is made out of metal, we
Baka nga di pa
automatically
umabot.
understand that it came from the center of another planet. But that planet does not exist anymore. So like I told you, it probably exploded and the bits of rock, they were in the asteroid belt. And then when it fell and we found that it's metal, we automatically understood that it came from a planet that does not exist anymore. Okay? So far so good?
Yes, sir.
Maybe exam.
If you have any
Later have
questions,
exam.
sorry?
Later on.
Exam.
Yes, if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. Okay? Here we have the Moroccan map. The dots, the red dots that you're looking at, they show places where meteorites fell. Just to prove a point, which is meteorites, they fall pretty much everywhere. We can see them a lot clearly in the south of Morocco. Okay? But they fall everywhere. They fall in the north, the east, the west, the south. But we find them a lot more in the south because there's the desert. And the meteorite, when it enters the atmosphere, it starts burning. When the exterior starts burning, we have a tiny little crust that we call the fusion crust. The fusion crust is the exterior of the meteorite that gets burned up after it enters the atmosphere. And this crust is black, it's pitch black. So imagine a black rock in the desert where the sand is white to yellow. It's very easy to see. That's why we find them in the south a lot more than in the city. Okay? And here is a board where we have the name of the meteorites. We usually name them after the place where they fell.
Ayun yung latest, 2021.
And the year. And the type of the meteorites, depending...
3 kilogram, ang
the
bibigat
type
din
of the
pala,
meteorite,
laki.
like I told you, and if it has metal or not. But the type is mostly related to specialists. There are the ones that tell us which type of meteorite it is. And here is the weight of the meteorite. For example, this one is 4 kilograms, 3 kilograms. However, these two, they don't have the exact weight yet. Because when a meteorite enters the atmosphere, it breaks apart due to the pressure and the speed. So when it comes really fast, it breaks apart and we can't give the exact weight until we finish collecting every single meteorite, collect them all and then weight them all. So we still didn't put the weight because we are still looking for the other rest of the meteorites.
Ganun pala yan.
Okay? So these ones that you
Kukolektahin
saw
muna
here,
bago nila kiluhin.
Paano makolekta yun lahat?
Hanapin.
these ones that you saw here, I can show them to you under the microscope. Yes.
Conjules.
But they are under the microscope. Okay? Sometimes we can see them through the naked eye, just like that rock that you saw. But sometimes it's very hard to see them with the naked eye. So we need to put them under the microscope to see them in details and to know what it's made out of. Okay. But here is what they look like under the microscope.
It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's very pretty.
Okay. Next.
You want to start looking at the meteorites? Can you see like a little circle inside, the gray one? There's a
Little circle?
Yes, circle. Look at my shadow. Look at my shadow. Look
Okay,
at my
okay.
shadow here. Can you see it? Here.
Ah,
Yeah, can you see it? It's like a tiny little circle inside. Here, the gray one.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Can you see
What
it?
is that?
That's the chondrule.
Ah, okay.
See, here you can see.
That
with
is
the
a big
naked
one,
eye. Yeah, it's a big one. This was formed during the period of the Big Bang. So sometimes you can see them with the naked eye, like here.
What is the difference between that rock to the other normal rock there?
That we find on Earth.
Yeah.
First, it's the presence of chondrules. When you find chondrules in a rock, you will know that it came from outer space. No.
Condules?
Yes.
What kind of
Our
rock is
here
that?
has no contour.
They don't have them. When we find chondrules in a rock, we know for a fact that it came from space. Secondly, the weight and the density of the rock. You can take a normal rock that you found here on Earth and weight it, and it can have 1 kilogram. And you can take a meteorite that has the same weight, 1 kilogram, but the meteorites will feel a lot heavier. Why? Because the density is different. This one is more dense. This one is lighter in density. The third point is the fusion crust. Look at the exterior. Look at the side here. There's a black layer.
Yes.
A black crust, and the inside is gray.
Oh, okay.
Look at here. The exterior is black. This is what we call the fusion crust.
Fusion
It gets
crust.
formed when the exterior burns with the atmosphere. We cannot have that in earthy rock, in earth rock. Okay. The fourth point, to be 100% sure, meteorites, most of them, they contain pure metal, and pure metal cannot be found on Earth.
That's why it is magnetized.
Yes. Here you can see the fusion crust is very clear.
This is almost the same,
Yeah.
but this is big.
Also here, the one that you took pictures of, this one is the mission Apollo 11. Is the
Mission Apollo.
Is the first mission where men actually walked on the moon.
The moon? It is true?
Oh,
Yes.
see.
Depends on what they say. Yeah, it's true.
Apollo
11.
11.
Because
Neil
there's a lot
Armstrong.
of videos that
But this is
Pala kasi,
this is
movie.
basically a 3D drawing. So basically, what we do, this is hand painted, by the way.
yes.
It's a little joke to say that when Neil Armstrong went to the moon to look at the rocks and just walk on the moon, he
There's
already
someone.
found Moroccans drinking tea. So it's like a
Yes.
little joke. Well, usually, you can sit there, pretend that you're drinking a cup of tea,
With
and
them.
waving at Neil Armstrong, and then you cut the picture to this, and then it looks like a 3D picture. It looks like a 3D.
can we try it?
About in YouTube, is it true the dog walking the moon?
A dog. We sent a dog. We sent a dog, but it died.
Died?
Yeah.
Maybe he
Like
need the oxygen.
Come here, in the middle. Come here. So you can take the full shot. Is it there? Yes, yes. Pretend that you're come closer. Okay. Yes. Put your hand like this. No. Yes, that one. Closer. Yes. Wave with the other hand. Wave like this with the other hand. Yes. And then take a picture, and you can crop it. Yeah, just like that.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You can also take pictures with the dinosaurs there. It's
Oh.
also the same thing. And there's also Mars here. Here, you can take a picture on the surface of Mars. It's the same 3D.
Ah, okay. 3D.
style.
Ito, ano to? Fossil na lang siguro to, no?
Oh, see.
Hindi na ano. Hindi na siya ganun ka-clear.
Ganda.
Crinoids Foundation. Ito dinosaur to. Buntot na lang to. Ito buntot na to ng dinosaur yun. Oh. Bato na yan. Tigas na. Fossil.
Part ng ano niya na.
Buntot.
Dinosaurs. Nag-chat na sila, Ravis. Dito na daw sila eh. Yes. You can search it. Elmismo. Elmismo. Single S. Mismo. Yan. Yan. That's me. I'm Sister. Do you have a channel also? Hindi, sinubscribe niya yung ano ko. Yung vlog. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yung gamit natin. Tapos na. Grabe. Nakalibre kami. Libre... Ano tawag doon? Libre exhibit.